Hello everybody, I'm Patty Patane. Intelligent conversation with just a bit of an attitude. Do you remember, I don't know, I kind of remember this when I was a kid. If you do, we're on the same page today. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, we've come a long way in the last few years. When it comes to studying the brain, the chemistry, and our emotions, come to find out, folks, words can hurt. And they hurt because A, you believe them, if they're negative, or you're just holding stuff in. You know how something hurts you and you haven't gotten over it? Well, write, take an actual pen or a pencil and a blank piece of paper and actually hand write. This doesn't really work that well on the computer. It doesn't. Trust me, the science is shown with the brain waves and all this stuff. They take pictures of your brain working. It doesn't work as well. And you just take a piece of paper and you start writing. And you're saying, I don't know how to write. I can't spell. I don't know how to punctuate. I graduated from Palm Springs High School. I'm not the greatest speller in the world, but you got spell check. Come on. And I became a writer only because I was able to say what I felt. Very healthy. Extremely healthy. Well, I didn't know there was somebody around that could actually teach you to write, but not be punctuation. Put a colon and a semicolon and all this stuff. No. That isn't what it's about. That's for an editor in case you want to publish something. And you know what? We can all publish anything today that we want because of all this self-publishing stuff and all the online everything. Somebody I want you to meet. Okay? Her name is Tammy Koya. And you basically teach and help people teach themselves to put their thoughts down on a piece of paper, and it ends up being a very healing and healthy thing to do. How am I doing?
Excellent.
I got it?
Yes.
I got it. Good. Well, hey, what do we need you for? I'd like to think that what you help people do, because I've talked to some of the people that are in your classes, and you really help them. They write their way to health and healing. How'd you figure all this out, Tammy?
I couldn't have said it better. It's really true. There's studies in science where there really is a healing about attaching the emotion of the event and writing it down and releasing it, that it really unburdens us. So as I've been teaching, I've been in the desert for 4 years now, I'm seeing it with all of my students, where they come in burdened, they release, things that they haven't thought about for years that still hurts to this day. They could cry about something that happened in first grade. And
I mean, they're adults and haven't gotten the word to get over it yet.
But it'll be something that happens as an adult, and it'll be a triggered hurt from way back when.
I think, I just thought of this. One thing that I did once when I had a fireplace, that you could burn stuff in. I'm in the desert. I don't do fireplaces anymore. My friends do, but I don't. You write something down, and then you take it and you go like this and said, "Take that, yes, OB," and throw it in the fire. Which reminds me, I sat in on one of your classes not too long ago, and it was like 6 or 7 women, and they were all probably 55 or over. I know one lady whom I have spoken with, who we're going to have a little chat with. She's 94 years old. Where are the men in all of this?
My classes are women-centered, although I do some mixed groups. But when I find myself that women want to be with women when they want to share their heart.
I have yet to see a man sit in a group with women and just pour his heart out. I guess it doesn't quite work, huh?
It depends.
It depends?
I've seen a few, but...
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I just find your ability, I mean, let's see, you were a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You taught what grade?
I started as a kindergarten teacher. I've taught all the way up through high school English, so I've taught almost every grade.
And that has helped you, you decided to stop teaching?
Yes, when I moved here to the desert. So I moved with the sole purpose of teaching women in particular how to leave their legacy by writing their legacy. And what I've learned out of the process is the healing that takes place. So it's kind of an added bonus.
Did you expect, pardon me, because when I walked into that class of yours, there was one woman, the youngest one in the bunch. She was reading out of her little booklet what she had handwritten, and it came out, and she said, and that's so-and-so, and I thought, whoa! She used some rather descriptive language, I believe, describing her ex. Mm-hmm. It was very descriptive. And then, as you went around your little circle of writing students, a wonderful little old lady sat over there, and the last thing I expected to come out of her mouth was, well, that SOB, and da-da-da. I mean, whoa. Tell me about that, Tammy.
Well, you know, one thing I'm finding is that we all have a shared experience. You know, although we're all on different journeys of our life and different ages of our life, we all can relate. So when somebody is sharing a heartache, we can all feel that heartache, even if we haven't, you know, lost that, like a mother. If, you know, some of us still have our mothers here, we haven't lost that, we can still feel the pain. So there's a part of the process is the sharing. So not only writing, but it's speaking your truth and letting it be witnessed by others.
And yeah, but what about the language thing? I mean, it was, there was some language going on there.
And the interesting facet of the writing is that the women are so comfortable.
Yes.
Now, the group you sat in on, mm-hmm. there were several. Two of them was their first time of being in a workshop. The one who you're talking about in particular, that was only her second workshop. But she already felt so comfortable that
the language
they don't have filters.
Yeah,
when
the
it comes
language
to that.
just came right out.
Yeah, very naturally too.
How do you get your students, no matter what their age? Mm-hmm. You have one that's 94, terrific. How do you get them to bring those barriers down to not have, well, I have to watch what I say. We've been taught not to hurt people's feelings.
Right.
We've been taught not to say this, but you let it all hang out.
I think part of it is the comfort level that I do small groups. So it's mm-hmm. not, you're not coming into a room with 30, 40 women. You're in a small, intimate atmosphere, which was what you witnessed.
This isn't a kumbaya moment, is it?
No. But you're sitting in a group with women, your peers, you know, some 20 years older, some maybe 20 years younger, but you're sitting there and I say from the beginning that, you know, it's kind of like our own little Vegas. What happens here stays here. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go out and broadcast. I'm not going to go home and tell, you know, my friends, oh, did you hear what so-and-so did? So it's a safe place.
It's almost like a counseling session.
Well, I've heard people say it's like therapy. And it's almost like it's unburdening yourself mm-hmm. in a safe group, which is it's something that as I was planning my workshops, I didn't realize that added benefit of these women opening up. And I've heard so many times the women telling me, I have never shared this with anybody, or I never thought I would ever tell anybody this story. But and I feel, you know, really grateful because I am a part of, you know, their journey in helping them heal their hearts.
Well, what I found interesting, instead of sitting around the campfire outside, you know, in a kumbaya moment, you're in a beautiful library setting at mm-hmm. a local country club. Mm-hmm. And then after this particular type of workshop, you have a lovely lunch. It was just a very, no, it was nice. It was just nice. And the different types and the different ages of women I found fascinating. I'm going to introduce you all to one right now. I mean, you inspired this woman to write a book. She wrote a book. Look at this. What lady wrote this book? Her name is Katrina Davis Bias. Lessons Learned. You must be pretty proud of yourself.
I'm so proud of her.
Look at this. This is a great book. You'll be able to find the book on Amazon. And you'll be able to get it through Tammy's website, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen.
And this is right off the presses. It's brand new.
This isn't even available yet, folks. But I want you to meet Katrina.
Well, I had heard that there was this woman that helped you recapture memories and write about them, and I thought that would be fun. I'm into doing new and fun things since I've retired instead of what someone else wants me to do. And I went, and the very first day I wrote, and I kept writing. Every session was something new. I just enjoyed it so much. And I heard that some people were putting those together to make a memoir. So I took her class on memoirs. And from there, every time I went, there was a new chapter that I wrote. And I just kept on until I finished the book.
I found Katrina to be absolutely delightful. She's 70 plus. Mm-hmm. And I'm gathering that one of the most powerful things you do is enable mature women to do something when they've retired and the kids are gone. Was that part of what you'd intended?
I think it was a back idea, because what I've been hearing is that a lot of the women saying they feel invisible at this age. You know, they're no longer heard. The younger women are coming up and they feel like they don't know what to do with the rest of their life. They've retired maybe from a career. Their husbands are home now with them, and
well, that'll drive anybody crazy.
Exactly. So they're thinking about what to do with the rest of their life. Most of them have children and grandchildren, and they start thinking about the stories that are who they are and how they're going to preserve them. I read an article once that I thought was so fascinating. It was in the LA Times, and just this one little sentence I'll never forget. It said that the death of an older person is like the burning of a library. And I thought of that because, you know, our lives are our stories.
Let me repeat that.
Okay.
The death of an older person
Mm-hmm.
is like
the burning of a library.
the burning of a library.
So in other words, our lives are our stories, and if we don't write down our stories,
They're
you
gone.
know, they're gone.
When I first heard about you, we have a mutual friend who said, I met this wonderful woman, and she went on and on and on and on. I thought, wow, okay. And she'd make a great program. And, you know, for years I've done a series of programs called The Reading Light. I've been reviewing books long before it became the thing to do, because I'm a reader. And my library is probably, outside of my little puppies and my friends, my greatest possession. So the description of you didn't quite fit, because she gave me the name of your website. Mm-hmm. It's called the Memoir, Thememoir Coach, C-O-A-C-H. Yeah, okay. Memoir, and I thought, oh my God, no, scrapbooking. I can't do scrapbooking. We don't do scrapbooking. I'm not going to talk about scrapbooking. I think it's a really fine thing. You go into like Michael's or any of these art craftsy places. There's all this scrapbooking everywhere, and I think Rosie O'Donnell introduced scrapbooking on television. Please tell me you don't do scrapbooking.
No,
okay,
not at all.
Let's clarify that right away. Let's say that I want to tell one of my friends about the show. They're going to say, okay, I understand you just did a new show, Patty. What's it about? Give me a short, really short sentence on how you describe, here's what I do and here's what's in it for you.
I'd say it's about leaving your legacy. What is it that makes you who you are? What is it that makes Patty Patty? You know, where did you learn to be who you are? It's about your journey.
Well, listen, it took a lot of work. Took a lot. Had to raise myself. You know, it took a lot of work. But you know what? A lot of it is it's understanding who you are. A lot of my students lived, you know, their whole lives in their body, and yet they don't really know themselves. So one of the first things I talk about is the question: who are you? Where are you going? Why are you going there? And sometimes just those three questions are enough to get them, you know, flabbergasted. Who are you? How do you answer that question?
Well, you do some internal searching. You think, what are the things that you love? What are the things that can make you cry? What do you ache about? You know, it's really about exploring.
And then you write
who you
about
are.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I? Well, you know, I'm a verbal communicator. It's all I've ever
Right.
done. So that wouldn't be terribly difficult for me. I would imagine someone who's been in a good job their whole life, or been a housewife and raised the children, had that job, might have a little difficulty. How do you bring that out when somebody is not a communicator?
Right.
How do you
I
how do you grab
think it's
how do
the
you help them get
questions.
in there and
Right.
grab it and write it down? How do you
Because
do that?
we're known as a mother, a sister, a daughter, a friend. We have all these labels, but it's really about digging down deep. So I have a series of questions, and we talk and we share as a group, and slowly they start to see themselves, really as who they are.
Give me a question.
I would say, what are those things that really make you ache inside? What's something that can make you stop and, really cry? Like some people see a sad movie.
What if you want to just, what makes you stop and be happy?
Well, we do that too.
Do that too?
Yeah.
If you were to ask me that question, I would say the Star Spangled Banner. When I'm home alone or at an event where they play, even if I'm home alone, I can't sit. I have to stand up.
Aw.
I have to stand up. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things.
See, now I wouldn't have thought that about you.
Oh yeah,
That's great.
yeah, and I'm fanatical about taking care of about helping to be a part of a community that takes care of those who cannot take care of themselves. Cannot take it. That's the key.
Right.
You cannot take care of yourself. We have an obligation as healthy, lucky, fortunate individuals to help those who cannot take care of themselves if they're disabled or elderly, are wounded veterans. You know, a lot of people have paid a lot of price for me to have a voice and be a mouth and have opinions and be a commentator my entire career. And for that, I am forever grateful. But I can express that, and I've done so all the time on television. What else would you ask?
I would ask them, like, going on the opposite, like, what are the things that you love? What is it? And a lot of times, you know what, if they've been married 40, 50 years, they'll know exactly what their husband loves. But when they think about themselves, because they've always been the caretaker or the mother,
Yeah.
they have a hard time identifying it.
You have fun at this, don't you?
I love it.
You love it.
I really do.
Let me introduce you to two other people here. One is Doris, and she's 80 plus, and she's been totally inspired by you.
I was an instructor for many years in the banking industry, and I used to teach classes. And many, many years ago, I was published by McGraw-Hill for a program that I created and taught. And it was a very successful program. I loved doing it. I received royalties for many years. And recently, I thought, gee whiz, I think I would like to resurrect the program and write a handbook. And a handbook is not what Tammy does, but I didn't know where to begin, and I was introduced to Tammy, and somebody said, she can help you. Well, what happened is I ended up starting to write my memoirs and stories, and loved writing, and working with Tammy has been very motivating and stimulating. So I just continue to write stories. I still have the desire to do the handbook. However, it's sitting there on the table waiting for me. But I'm enjoying working with Tammy, alongside of her, with her, learning from her. It's been a great journey.
Okay, now I'm saving the most mature for last. Tell me a bit about Miletus.
So I met Miletus. She called me on the phone. She saw an article in the newspaper about me, and she said she was 92, and I was thinking, I hadn't had a student at that age yet. So she signed up for my class, she came in, and I just fell in love with her from the moment I met her. She's so full of wisdom, so full of advice. Her life story is amazing.
I just fell in love with the deal. I have always enjoyed writing. I used to write long letters. I was one time in the Orient for 3 months, and you should see the letters that I wrote. Man, what I've been doing is writing a blog for her website, and that keeps me a little busy like all day Sunday because I wait till the last minute.
Well, Patricia Edith Erickson, she's a writer. Look at this. Wrote a book.
Yeah.
How did all this come about? I know you take a writing class, open your life, let's get with it.
I used to write business stuff,
Okay.
and I always wanted to write.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I wanted to write, except I wanted to write. When I saw Tammy's thing in the newspaper, I went, oh, that sounds interesting, but I really don't want to write about myself, but I went ahead anyway.
And wrote about yourself.
And wrote about myself.
Which is what this is.
Right.
And all this you found out by writing class
Yes,
with Tammy?
through Tammy's prompts, because I really didn't think I would remember anything. It all came back.
So you wrote a book.
Yeah, I wrote a book. Aren't I
You know,
great?
you're one of, I haven't written a book.
It's actually out of print right now.
Well, you better get it back into
I
print because
know.
all these people
Well,
are
I'm
gonna
going
wanna
to
read your book.
rewrite it.
Oh, yeah, typical editor.
yeah.
But you found a lot out of writing with Tammy.
Absolutely. It was the most liberating experience, I say this honestly, authentically, of my life. It really made a huge impact. Yeah. I think every woman should do it. Everybody.
If you want to buy the book, as she's rewriting it or doing whatever it is she's going to do to it, if you want to buy the book, just go to Tammy's website. I'm sure she'll have all the information about all of her students who are writing all these great tell-all books.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a lot of people that get an enormous amount of wellness and mental health out of what you do. What do you get out of it?
I feel like I'm ahead of the game from other women my age, because sitting around the table, listening, getting inspired, learning from their challenges, their heartaches, I think it helps me be a better person. I think it helps me that when I come to my own, forks in the road, that I can make better decisions.
How do you get your students, no matter what their age, how do you get them to bring those barriers down?
I think part of it is the comfort level that I do small groups. So it's not, you're not coming into a room with 30, 40 women, but you're sitting in a group with women, your peers, some 20 years older, some maybe 20 years younger. It's a safe place.
It's almost like a counseling session.
Well, I've heard people say it's like therapy. And it's almost like it's unburdening yourself in a safe group, which is it's something that as I was planning my workshops, I didn't realize that added benefit of these women opening up. And I've heard so many times the women telling me, I have never shared this with anybody, or I never thought I would ever tell anybody this story. But and I feel, really grateful because I am a part of, their journey in helping them heal their hearts.
You basically teach and help people teach themselves to put their thoughts down on a piece of paper, and it ends up being a very healing and healthy thing to do.
There's studies in science where there really is a healing about attaching the emotion of the event and writing it down and releasing it, that it really unburdens us. So as I've been teaching, I've been in the desert for 4 years now, I'm seeing it with all of my students where they come in burdened, they release, things that they haven't thought about for years, that still hurts to this day.
Well, I had heard that there was this woman that helped you recapture memories and write about them, and I thought that would be fun. I'm into doing new and fun things since I've retired instead of what someone else wants me to do. And I went, and the very first day I wrote, and I kept writing. Every session was something new. I just enjoyed it so much. And I heard that some people were putting those together to make a memoir. So I took her class on memoirs. And from there, every time I went, there was a new chapter that I wrote. And I just kept on until I finished the book.
You know, one thing I'm finding is that we all have a shared experience. You know, although we're all on different journeys of our life and different ages of our life, we all can relate. Part of the process is the sharing. So not only writing, but it's speaking your truth and letting it be witnessed by others.
I was introduced to Tammy and somebody said she can help you. Well, what happened is I ended up starting to write my memoirs and stories and loved writing, and working with Tammy has been very motivating and stimulating. So I just continue to write stories. I still have the desire to do the handbook. However, it's sitting there on the table waiting for me. But I'm enjoying working with Tammy, alongside of her, with her, learning from her. It's been a great journey.
One of the most powerful things you do is enable mature women to do something when they've retired and the kids are gone.
Most of them have children and grandchildren, and they start thinking about the stories that are who they are and how they're going to preserve them. So in other words, our lives are our stories, and if we don't write down our stories,
they're gone.
You know, they're gone.
I just fell in love with the deal. I have always enjoyed writing. I used to write long letters. But you know what I liked the most? I had more fun. I wanted to do those 10-minute drills. I loved them.
I moved here to the desert with the sole purpose of teaching women in particular how to leave their legacy by writing their legacy. And what I've learned out of the process is the healing that takes place.